talking.
Will do.
Well, actually, no, do start talking. Just checking. Are we ready, Mr. Cheese? What kind of kid were you?
Shy. Typical, only child of older parents.
Quiet. Only child.
I was quite violent.
Funny.
Greedy.
Untroubled. Short. Became spotty. Stayed short.
I'm going to start that again. I wasn't violent at all. That is quite the opposite. I was meek. I used to like my own company.
I think odd would be the first word that springs to mind.
Insular, unusual, odd, found it difficult to form relationships with people. Mostly, I would prefer to make a relationship with a baby bird or perhaps a newt.
I'd like to stay in my bedroom and listen to kind of comedy records and sort of study things and practice faces in front of the bathroom mirror.
Mischievous, but I don't think I was nasty.
You were, as far as I can tell from what you told me, you used to go around throwing stones at people and smashing windows and misbehaving and wandering the countryside.
I haven't, no. Wandering the countryside like a raggle-taggle gypsy.
Gang.
Oh. We were quite nice, really.
Yeah, well, in those days, that's what everyone did.
Obviously, there was a bit of stone.
Were you a thug?
No, I was quite a nice bloke. Although it was stone throwing, obviously.
What about
there
you,
was
Charlie,
extortion,
I was
stone taking.
I was quite quiet and swotty.
I was a swot. I think primarily that's how I defined myself. I came top in some exams, and then as I went to a larger school, I came nearly top in some exams, and that was soul-destroying, and I was sort of mocked for that, but also it's a thing about yourself. It's a thing you're good at, and I was good at lessons.
Spoiled?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, loved. Because I had a brother who died. Obviously younger than me.
Yes.
And so I was Dad's last fling, I think, and so I got all the love and attention that the other baby would have got.
I was second down. My brother, unfortunately, I still miss him. He was torpedoed on the 2nd of December 1940. He was lost at sea during the war. And I miss John Christopher Carson. He was 16-year-old, his first trip abroad.
There's an older brother who's 16 months older than me, and then there's a younger brother who's 14 years younger than me.
So no girls?
No, but I mean, I think I'm pretty.
How many kids were there?
4, 3 girls and a boy. I was the boy.
I had a brother who was a genius, and another brother who was even smarter than him, and I felt like I was retarded compared to them.
Really?
So I started becoming funny. It was the only way to mean anything, to attract attention, to become some kind of a character in the family.
My mum used to have a rule that I wasn't allowed to start chattering at her until she'd started her second cup of tea in the morning. I always wanted to talk from the second I got up in the morning, and by the time my older brothers and sisters were at school, I was the only one at home, so I had my mum to myself. So I'd wait until and then I'd start.
I was in the middle. I've got 2 younger brothers, 2 older, so and my parents fostered children, so it was always quite a busy house, and really if you wanted any attention you had to fight for it. So I remember saying look at me a lot, and watch what I can do, watch what I can do.
Used to record little audio tapes from like 5 and 6, and I remember listening to one a few years ago, kind of rummaging and finding it, and it's me doing like little bits of comedy and impressions and singing daft songs, and while the family is in the background sort of talking, and I remember thinking how witty I was at the time and how talented I was, and then you do hear a relative just going, oh, he's just showing off now. You just hear that quietly in the background. And even now, as an adult, I went, oh, just really deflated.
My mum has this contact sheet of pictures of me when I was little that she had a photographer come round. It was great. I'm doing little tricks, or I'm conducting a band, and I'm pretending to smoke in one of them. I'm like 2.
I like to set myself tasks like climbing the tallest poplar tree in the park, retrieving eggs from barnyards without anyone knowing about them.
Over the road from the street where I grew up, there was disused chalk mine and army barracks, all disused and overgrown. I'd go over there and liberate fledglings from the tyranny of their bird parents. You can't be brought up by these idiot birds. I'll bring you up in the back of the At Walker, my Star Wars thing. And it's like they died always, very quickly. It's really hard to keep a baby bird alive.
So you're a bird murderer, really?
I was sort of a kind of ornithological Dennis Nilsson.
I wanted to be leader of the pack.
Yes.
I wanted to be a hero. I wasn't equipped physically for it. Actually, I was a very delicate child.
Were you?
No, not really. You see, there are two biographies to every comic. There's the true one, the true story,
yes,
which is very ordinary, and then there's the one you make up and you tell your punters about. When I was a child, nobody wanted me. I was rejected. Little boy next door refused to have me as his imaginary friend.
I had a wild neighborhood, I got to tell you, because my mother's Puerto Rican and my father's Negro, and we lived in a real big Jewish tenement building in an Italian neighborhood. Every time I go outside, the kids say, "Get him, he's all of them."